In the last class, I had started with the topic important articles of the Constitution of India. Important articles of the Constitution of India, and under this heading, certain important articles were taken up, you see. If you remember that the previous recorded class was titled as Part 1. That was titled as Part 1. Under this heading, few important articles were taken up, few important articles were explained. Now, under the heading today, this is Part 2. We are going to complete the remaining. We are going to complete the remaining important articles. If you start with the remaining important articles in this connection, the next one is article. Now you kindly see article 32 read with article 232 deals with the enforcement of fundamental rights directly to the Supreme Court under article 32. So 32 was rightly called as the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution. 32 provides a special legal status to fundamental rights, you see. That is part 3rd of the Indian Constitution, you see. 226 it is for the enforcement of. There is a slight difference. It is for the enforcement of both fundamental rights and non-fundamental rights, you see. So, Article 226 is wider in nature. Article 226 is wider in nature, you see, which provides one provides a special legal status to fundamental rights, special legal status to fundamental rights, you see. So this is one, in part 2, this is one important, article. Now come to the next one. The next important article in this connection, which is very important, and I personally feel that this is very important. This is Article 39A. This is Article 39A, which deals with two things, you see. 39A deals with two things, that is equal justice. That deals with equal justice and free legal aid, and on the basis of this article, 39A, on the basis of this article 39A, and the Legal Services Authority Act of 1987, the Legal Services Authority Act of 1987 was created. the Legal Services Authority Act of 1987 was, passed by the Parliament, you see. Now, under this Legal Services Authority Act, you see, and so this legal services which came into force in the year 1995, you see. So this is inspired by, so the importance of this article, this article lies in the fact, you see, Article 39A lies in the fact, and that it deals with equal justice and free legal aid, and on the basis of this article, Legal Services Authority Act, Legal Services Authority Act was passed, you see. Legal Services Authority Act was passed, you see. Legal Services Authority Act was passed, and then comes, और तब जो इम्पोर्टेंट आर्टिकल्स है उसको हम लोग टच कर रहे हैं, एंड देन कम्स द नेक्स्ट इम्पोर्टेंट आर्टिकल इज आर्टिकल 44. The next important article is Article 44. 44, you see, is very much in the news today, you see. Article 44, deals with Uniform Civil Code, you see. Deals with Uniform Civil Code. And this was very much in the news in the context of, the state of Uttarakhand, you see. One common law, and in the field of marriage, succession, divorce, adoption, etc. One common law has been passed by, this is passed by the State Legislative Assembly of, this is passed by the State Legislative Assembly of Uttarakhand, you see. So Uttarakhand, is the credit goes to Uttarakhand, that this is the first state. This is the first state where, the State Legislative Assembly has passed a law on Uniform Civil Code. This is the first state in India. So 44, therefore, 44 in this connection, 44, therefore in this connection, in this connection is very important. It's a very important article in this connection. It's a very important article in this connection, you see. It's a very important article in this connection, you see. 44 से आगे बढ़िए, then you come to Article 79. Article 79. This is the Constitution of Parliament. This is the Constitution of Parliament. This is the Constitution of Parliament, you see. Parliament will consist of, and it says, the Parliament will consist of, the Parliament will consist of, you see. The Parliament will consist of, and consist of, the House of People, Council of States, House of People and Council of States, and President is an integral part of, and President is an integral part of Parliament. 79 actually deals with, 79 actually deals with the Constitution of Parliament. 79 actually deals with the Constitution of Parliament, you see. 79 actually deals with the Constitution of Parliament, you see. And the Constitution of Parliament, I mean, this provision says that this provision says that this provision says that the 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 I mean parliament consists of the Council of States and the House of People, and the president is an integral part of it. Yeah, एक important article. This is an important article in this connection, you see. And the next important article in this connection is, the next important article is 76 read with 88 and 165 read with 177, you see. Pehla hai, the first one is, these are the two important articles. First one is 76 read with article 88. 76 read with article 88. 76 read with article 88. And the second is article 165 read with 177. 165 read with 177. 165 read with 177. Now this 76 deals with Attorney General of India. Attorney General of India is also known as the first law officer. The first law officer. Attorney General of India is also known as the first law officer. The first law officer of India, you see. And under Article 88, he is appointed by the President of India, you see. Requires the requisite qualification which is given for the judge of the Supreme Court, you see. And 88, under Article 88, he has the privilege to, participate. He has the privilege to speak in the parliamentary proceeding and also participate in the proceeding of the parliament, you see. तो ये आर्टिकल इनसे रिलेटेड है, लेकिन जब 165 और 177 रखेंगे तो ये हो गया एडवोकेट जनरल. This is known as Advocate General. Advocate General is the first law officer of the state, you see. And the same, the same provision, the same content is there in Article 165 read with 177, as we find in 76 read with Article 88 of the Indian Constitution. Yeah, this is important. This is important, you see. अब आ जाइए, इसको मिटाइए, आगे बढ़ते हैं. Then we have, in this connection we have the next important article in this connection is Article 131. This is Article 131 and 137, 141 and 142. ये चार आर्टिकल बड़ा इम्पोर्टेंट है. आर्टिकल इसके आगे आप जोड़ सकते हैं आर्टिकल 131, 137, 141 and 142, you see. 131 is the original. 131 is the original and exclusive jurisdiction of the original and exclusive jurisdiction of original and exclusive jurisdiction of Supreme Court to deal with federal disputes. To deal with federal disputes, you see. 137 is that the Supreme Court can review its previous डिसीजन, इसलिए इसको हम लोग रिव्यू जुरिस्डिक्शन का, इसलिए इसको हम लोग रिव्यू जुरिस्डिक्शन का 141 is the law declared by Supreme Court is binding on all other courts. 141 कहता है, I mean this is very important, you see. 141 कहता है law declared by Supreme Court will be binding on all other courts, you see. Will be binding on all other courts. Will be binding on all other courts, you see. So the verdict under Article 141 given by the Supreme Court is also the law of the land. Also the law of the land, you see. Is also the law of the land, and this is followed by the most important one, that is Article 142, you see. Well, this is the only article. I mean, the Supreme Court can give any kind of relief for doing complete justice, you see. This is a transcendental power of Supreme Court. This is the supreme power of Supreme Court. This is the inherent power of Supreme Court under Article 140. That it can provide, it can give any kind of relief to, can give any kind of relief, to, I mean, the petitioners, you see. 142 is the one article which provides a transcendental power to Supreme Court, you see. Transcendental power to Supreme Court, you see. Transcendental power to Supreme Court, you see. Then we have, I mean, important articles. 352, that is national emergency, which can be imposed on grounds of war and external aggression or armed rebellion. (352) is a state, 356 is a state emergency. That is President rule, you see. This is also known as constitutional emergency. This is also known as constitutional emergency. This is also known as constitutional emergency or president rule. And 360 is financial emergency, which has never been imposed. Has never been imposed. As regards 356, that is the imposition of president rule. Regards 356, that is the imposition of president rule. The most important, I mean, case law related with 356 is S.R. Bomai versus Union of India 1994, wherein the Supreme Court provided certain guidelines, you see. Guidelines, I mean, that's very important, you see. Certain guidelines for the imposition of Article 356. Imposition of Article 356. Imposition of Article 356. Then we have, I mean, Article 245 and 246. 245 and 246. I mean, 245 deals with territorial distribution of power. 246 it deals with distribution of subject matter, you see. 246 deals with distribution of legislative subject matter, you see. Distribution of legislative subject matter, you see. So what we find, you see, in both part 1 and part 2, in both part 1 and part 2, I mean, we come across, in both part 1 and part 2, we come across certain important articles. We come across certain important articles, and हमने दो रिकॉर्ड किया है, एक पार्ट 1 एक पार्ट 2 जो आज रिकॉर्ड कर रहे हैं. तो इसमें जो मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट जो आर्टिकल्स है, मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल्स, आई मीन टेकन इन दिस कनेक्शन, यू सी, है ना, टेकन इन दिस कनेक्शन. वैसे तो देयर आर अ नंबर ऑफ आर्टिकल्स, यू सी, but the most important articles, I mean, I have chosen, you see, which is covered by both this lecture part 1 and lecture part 2, you see. Lecture part 1 and lecture part 2, you see. Now, what I suggest to the students, you see, what I suggest to the students, that you should, I mean, go through the different chapters, you see. You should go through the different chapters. I mean, the best way to select, I mean, the important articles of the Constitution of India is to go through different chapters individually. Is to go through different chapters individually, and then you should choose from that chapter which is the most important, you see. So in this connection, I mean, if you go through the different chapters and then you select the important articles, I mean, in this connection, I think this is the best way to complete the process, you see, regarding important, some of the important articles, I mean, connected, some of the important articles connected in this connection, you see. Of the important articles connected in this connection, you see. So, in nutshell, last में हम बोल रहे हैं. So, in nutshell, part 1 and part 2. So, in nutshell, part 1 and part 2 of the recorded lecture primarily is a guideline, you see. Primarily is a guideline to select the important articles while going through the chapter individually, you see. यहाँ पर हम इसको कंप्लीट कर रहे हैं. थैंक यू वेरी मच.